You're saying the ends here are unclear. I think they're fairly clear that they are looking for ethnic cleansing bordering on genocide. I mean, I think they're looking to get rid of these people, right? That seems to be clear to me.
You think that's Israel's objective? Are you on the Hamas side?
I mean, I think Hamas's actions are justified, but like militarily. But even if you just have a slight
even killing
bias,
the civilians, or like, okay, are you you might need to. I might not be your guy.
I don't think they
I'm afraid.
specifically targeted. I don't think they specifically targeted.
Let's go. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good. Let me just. Yeah, I'd love to have this conversation with you. I've seen a bunch of your stuff. It's nice to encounter someone who I would say seems reasonable, unlike a lot of people online. But I know I have a reputation for being unreasonable myself.
Oh.
As you alluded to, that I should be possibly deplatformed.
I don't know anything about your positions on Israel, so
yeah. So if I can skip, like, if we could skip the whole, like, was is the attack on October 7th and go a little bit like meta on it. And I don't know where you'd see this, but I believe that
bastard.
I watched an Israeli once try to justify it by saying, like, well, you need to condemn Winston Churchill's carpet bombing of Dresden if you're going to hold this position. And I think he's right about that. And I think you also have to condemn the American bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Otherwise, it does look like anti-Semitism. That, like, because it's Jews doing.
Condemn what position?
To condemn the position of the Israelis, you would also have to condemn, like the behavior of the Israelis in Gaza. You would also have to condemn the behavior of Winston Churchill's England in regards to Dresden and the United States actions in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
I think it depends on the objective, right? The objective of Dresden was to stop the Nazis from steamrolling Europe. And if you didn't firebomb cities, first of all, then the problem was you'd be stuck in like a months-long invasion where actually more people die.
Well, wait a second.
So the objective there was quite reasonable: get rid of the Nazis. The problem with Israel's objective is they don't want to reoccupy Gaza. They're just hoping someone else will go in there. And I feel like with this kind of lack of intention, I don't really know what exactly they're expecting to happen next.
Wait, so you're saying, like, targeting massive civilian populations is not the problem? The problem is that it has to be a good end, what you're saying?
Well, if Israel is targeting civilians, then that would be a problem, yeah. I don't know if they absolutely are. I think they're probably being disproportionate, but I guess you don't really know the details of that until afterwards.
But you understand that the carpet bombings of Dresden were targeting civilian populations. And Hiroshima and Nagasaki were definitely, like, they were terrorist bombs in the sense to cause morale. It wasn't a military.
I think for Dresden was also, the civilians were so first of all, yeah, there was like terror was part of it, but Dresden was also, they were moving military infrastructure and military equipment all the way through the city. So, and Nagasaki and Hiroshima was when Japan was engaged in a state of total war. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think these become, yeah, I mean, of course, and there are Hamas militants, and probably, although I don't think Hamas militants are terrorists, there probably are people who would engage in terrorism that you're killing while killing, thousands of. You understand what I'm saying? So do you disagree with me? You're saying that the carpet bombings of Dresden were justified. The bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, massive civilian populations, just an unbelievable. Those were justified, but Israel's activities are not justified. I don't see how you can hold those positions.
My problem with what Israel's doing now, and maybe you haven't noticed, but I haven't really taken a very firm stance either way. But it seems to be the case. The problem with what Israel's doing right now is that they don't have any plan or any indication of what's going to come next. And I think that's a problem, because what comes next, if Israel reoccupies Gaza, that's going to be a disaster. If they just leave, that's going to be a disaster. I guess maybe the only hope is that some third party that Palestinians don't fucking hate, and where the people who are occupying don't hate Palestinians, then there might be some opportunity for like rebuilding and some positive step forward. But I don't really see that happening, because who the fuck is going to do that?
So we're saying, like, did the ends justify the? This is a conversation about the ends. Do the ends justify the means? And you're saying the ends here are unclear. I think they're fairly clear that they are looking for ethnic cleansing bordering on genocide. I mean, I think they're looking to get rid of these people, right? That seems to be clear to me.
You think that's Israel's objective?
Obviously.
Well,
how could you?
If that's their objective, then that's obviously even more of a reason to condemn it, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying, I'm saying that I would think the main problem here that people would have morally is that it's a violation of international law to target civilians in large numbers. Even if there's a military, you have to really take care, and clearly the Israelis are not. That's a more fundamental problem than whether the objectives are. I mean, in a sense, those are the same thing, right? And I don't. To me, the problem with Palestine is you have thousands.
No, you cut out.
And they're not. Their lives are intended to be taken.
You cut out thousands. I don't really know what position you're taking.
What I'm saying is that I would think that it would be clear that the main problem here is that targeting massive civilian populations is the moral. Maybe I just assumed is the moral problem. Children, women, babies, elderly. I know that you're going to always have some of that, but like this is clearly the intention here.
Well, that's the difference, because if the intention is to, the problem is that if the intention is to do that, that's the difference between. There's a difference between them intentionally doing that and them going for military targets in a dense area where civilians are going to get hit, regardless of how careful you are, right? I don't think Israel is being as careful as they should be, because they're
not being careful at all. Obviously,
they're just that wouldn't leveling
the entire.
And that's in fitting with their previous actions as well. That's kind of what they do. Is they're quite disproportionate, and they are quite reckless when it comes to pursuing their goals. And again, that's why I don't think. But I don't support that. So,
but what I'm saying is, you can't single out Israel and not also say that, of course, Nazi Germany, but also the Allied forces in World War II did this. And if we go back to settler colonialism, I take it you're English,
Scottish.
Oh, okay. The English have done this sort of thing, used overwhelming force against. The English, right? And from the Germans, because they did it to them. So I don't think you can single out the Israelis. I do think it's a reckoning for the entire Anglo-American project, imperial project.
It depends on what the alternative is. If you're cutting out a bit, but I'm guessing what you're comparing is with Dresden and Israel is that with Dresden, the alternative to what they did in Dresden was that they just launched a ground invasion on cities that had not been bombed beforehand, which means they get like a repeat of the Battle of Budapest, which is possibly even more deadly and slower and even less chance of success. So that's the difference, is that the alternative to things like Dresden or Nagasaki were potentially situations that would have caused even more death. Whereas with Israel, them doing like a Dresden style bombing on Gaza, the alternative to that is not like what Hamas invades Israel and kills more people. Like that's why I don't think these are very good comparisons in that regard.
Okay, so let me use just an example. You can boot me at any time. I maybe like we're not hitting each other, but if I have a problem with you and I kill your child to demoralize you and or threaten to kill your child and then you put your hands up. That's never acceptable, right?
Yeah.
Just to use a simple analogy. What happened in Dresden was not military. It doesn't serve any military purpose to do this to civilians.
The Dresden
military
bombings did
purpose.
serve military purpose, though, because the town was militarized. It had military infrastructure and military equipment moving through the city.
But to carpet bomb, do you know how these people died in Dresden? Do you know what happens when you carpet bomb a city? You light an entire city. I mean, everyone died of asphyxiation. That sort of action. Is there?
We might need to do this another time because you keep cutting out like for like 10 seconds.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. It's probably my Wi-Fi. All right. Thanks, Lonerbox.
It's all right. Take care.
I was thinking, if you're generally on the Hamas or Arab side of things in this whole conflict, that me and you could debate Lav and Destiny about the Israel-Palestine conflict.
I am not on the Hamas or Palestinian side. I'm more on the Palestinian side than Israelis. Are you on the Hamas side?
I mean, I think Hamas's actions are justified, but like militarily. But even if you just have a slight
even killing
bias,
the civilians, or like, okay, are you you might need to. I might not be your guy.
I don't think they
I'm afraid.
specifically targeted. I don't think they specifically targeted civilians.
Okay, why'd you say that?
I mean, it was a military operation. I think it was completely justified. If somebody comes into my apartment, locks me in my bathroom, and doesn't allow me to get out, and I break out, I don't think you can say that that's a terrorist act by me.
But if you go
justified.
So I guess that's talk. So if you go past the person who's locking you in the bathroom, and just go out into the street and kill random wankers, like
who did they kill randomly?
People in the festival, people in the kibbutz.
Okay, well, not the festival,
people
but
in
I'm
the streets.
Well, I think overall it was even in the festival where they were just mowing down civilians. I've seen the Hamas footage. I don't see it. You
didn't see the guy just shooting blindly into the portaloos?
No, I saw that actually.
The bodies all piled.
I saw what you're talking about.
You're trolling me for content. Fuck off. Go away. All right, Jesus Christ. All right, that was fun.